Namaskaram. Welcome back to our series Demystification of Hindu Dharma. At first, before we begin today's topic, let us take a quick overview of the last 4 episodes. We began this series by setting the historical and textual background of Hindu Dharma, providing a clear, big picture blueprint for the series ahead. From there, we tackle the profound question of what existence actually means, comparing how modern science and ancient Shastras determine what constitutes true existence. Finally, we peel back the layers of existence to explore how the universe is organized, looking at the different dimensions of existence through both scientific and Shastric perspectives. If you are new to this series, we encourage you to watch the previous 4 episodes first, as they provide the background you need to understand this one. Before we begin this 5th episode, we invite you to imagine something extraordinary. Close your eyes for a moment and picture a time before time existed, a space before space existed, a state where there were no stars, no planets, no light, no darkness, no matter, no energy, not even the idea of existence. All that there was just a vast, silent, primordial no thingness. Please note, I did not say nothingness. I said no thingness. There is a hyphen between no and thingness. This may sound mystical, but logically, such a state must have existed, because everything that exists today, every atom, every galaxy, every thought, had to come from somewhere. And before the first something appeared, there had to be no thing, because if something else already existed, this would surely not be the first, and the question of who created that would certainly arise. We are discussing a state before the very first thing came into existence. There logically has to be a state like no thing existing in the beginning. Then, here is the astonishing insight. This no thingness could not have been empty. It had to contain a certain potential, a certain intelligence, and a certain creative power to manifest everything out of itself. There is no creation possible in such a state, because to create something, we need to use other things. Obviously, no other things exist there. Anyway, hence the only possibility is for that intelligence to transform itself steadily into many things. This is logically coherent and acceptable. There is no need to blindly believe this scenario. Think of the old riddle. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Most people get trapped choosing one or the other, as if reality must obey a linear sequence. But the deeper truth is far more astonishing. Neither came first. What came first was the encoded data, the invisible blueprint, the self-existent intelligence from which both the chicken and the egg could emerge. Modern science would call it information, the underlying code that shapes biological form. Philosophy would call it intelligence, the creative principle that precedes manifestation. The Shastras call it chit, pure consciousness, the pure, all-knowing, invisible, non-material presence that exists before matter, before space, before time. Before the universe arises, the intelligence capable of expressing the entire universe must already be present. This is the primordial intelligence, the self-born consciousness that stands at the beginning of everything, not created by anything else, not dependent on anything else, but the very source from which all manifestation unfolds. The ancient Bhāratīya sages gave this intelligent no-thingness a name. In the Vedic tradition, they called it Brahman. In the Śaiva tradition, they called it Śiva. 2 names, but one reality. Shastric vision, the true nature or attributes of Brahman or Shiva are described by the beautiful triad Sat, Chit, Ananda. These three words capture the essence of the ultimate reality in a way that is both profound and surprisingly simple. Sat means pure existence. It is not the existence of something, but existence itself. It is the eternal is-ness that never begins and never ends. Everything that appears in the universe borrows its existence from this fundamental Sat. Chit means pure consciousness or knowingness. It is not the mental awareness studied in psychology or produced by the brain, but the self luminous knowing that exists even when there is no mind, no thought, and no world. It is the undifferentiated, all pervading intelligence that makes all experience possible. Ananda means ever renewed bliss. It is not pleasure, not emotion, but the natural, effortless, uncaused joy that arises from being complete, whole, and without limitation. It is the quiet fullness of a reality that lacks nothing. The Bhāratīya Śāstras were extremely precise about what they accepted as the ultimate reality. We have already discussed this in the previous episodes. Let me repeat this, for it is important to understand the definition of ultimate reality in the Shastras. The ancient sages said, we will accept something as the ultimate reality or truth only if it fulfills three conditions. 1. Only if it is self developed, meaning it is non dual, not created by anything else. If it is created by a second thing, that means it has a cause above it and it depends on that cause for its existence, which is a limitation. They did not accept anything with limitations as the ultimate reality. 2. Only if it is changeless, otherwise, it is limited by time. Again, a disqualification for the status of ultimate reality. 3. Only if it is all pervading, otherwise, it is limited by space and is not admissible for being called ultimate reality. Why such strict conditions? Because anything that has a cause, a boundary, or a limitation of any sort cannot be the ultimate. It would, at best, simply be just another object in the universe. So, the sages emphatically concluded there must be a self born, self developed, uncaused, all pervading, changeless, eternal intelligence at the root of all existence. Otherwise, the argument goes in circles forever. This is therefore the only logically stable starting point. Interestingly, modern thinkers have reached similar conclusions. One of them is Dr. Tom Chalco, a physicist and consciousness researcher in Australia. In his books, The Freedom of Choice and Consciousness and Immortality, he presents a logically coherent argument that consciousness is self born, supremely self intelligent, and capable of self developing encoded data for creation. We would strongly recommend reading these two books. For now, we will give a brief summary of his key points. Point 1. Consciousness does not need a creator. It ought to be self developed. Self development is logically necessary. If consciousness were not self developed, we would be stuck in an infinite regress. Who created the creator? And who created that creator? And so on. Point 2. Consciousness can self organize. Just like a seed contains the blueprint of a tree, primordial consciousness contains the blueprint of the universe. Point 3. Information can arise from within. In modern terms, consciousness is like a self updating operating system, capable of generating its own data. Point 4. The universe behaves like a conscious design. The fine tuning of physical laws suggests an underlying intelligence. Let us examine some everyday examples to substantiate the idea that consciousness can really be self born and uncaused. A dream arises from our mind without any external creator. A seed contains the entire blueprint of a tree. A computer program can generate new data from its own code. A child's imagination creates entire worlds without external input. If these can happen at the microscopic level within us, that can happen at a macroscopic level, since layers of existence are fractal in nature. As above, so below, add below, so above. We have discussed these in detail in the previous episodes. If human consciousness can do this at a small scale, imagine what primordial, infinite consciousness can do. Dr. Tom Chalko's views resonate with the Shastric view in Brahman or Shiva traditions. Both these traditions in Hindu Dharma are two paths to the same destination. Throughout Bharat's long history, two great spiritual traditions emerged to guide seekers towards the same ultimate truth. The Vedic tradition, popularly known today as the Vaishnava tradition, and the Śaiva tradition, which includes both Śaiva Tantra and Śakti Tantra. These traditions did not arise to divide people. They arose out of deep compassion and a profound understanding of human diversity. The ancient sages recognized that not everyone has the same temperament, lifestyle, discipline, or intellectual inclination. The Vedic path is a highly refined approach that emphasizes purity, self discipline, philosophical clarity, and a lifestyle of careful restraint. It is ideal for those who naturally enjoy structure, contemplation, and rigorous self mastery. But the sages also knew that such a disciplined life is not suitable for everyone. Many people live in the world with families, responsibilities, emotions, and limitations that make strict austerity difficult. For them, the Shaiva tradition offers a more flexible, experiential, and accommodating path. Shaivism embraces meditation, devotion, mantra, inner experience, and transformation through daily life. It welcomes seekers exactly as they are, without demanding that they first become scholars or ascetics. Today, these traditions often blend together well in practice. Vaishnavas chant Shiva mantras, Shaivas worship Vishnu, and Shakti devotees study Vedanta. Their original purpose was to provide different doorways for different kinds of minds. In essence, the Vedic path guides the disciplined intellect, while Shaivism guides the experiential heart. Both lead to the same infinite reality simply through different routes, ensuring that every human being has a path perfectly suited to their nature. So, two great streams emerged. One, the Vedic tradition, which follows philosophical, logical, and abstract principles and uses the term Brahman for the ultimate truth. Two, the Shaiva tradition, which follows experiential yogic, meditative, and uses the term Shiva for the ultimate truth. Different approaches, but to the same destination. It is like two people climbing the same mountain from different sides. In the everyday practice of Hindu Dharma, the words Brahman and Shiva are often used casually, but the Shastras use them with great precision. Shastras describe two modes of the same one ultimate reality. The first is Para Brahman or Parama Śiva. Here, Para means beyond all limits. This is the undifferentiated absolute, the silent, infinite reality that exists before time, space, form, or qualities. In this state, Sat Chit ānanda, meaning existence, consciousness, and bliss, are not three separate attributes. They are one seamless presence, like pure white light before it splits into colors. The second mode is Apara Brahman or Shiva Shakti. Here, Apara means on this side. This is the manifesting intelligence, the aspect that becomes active once the will to express arises. It is the consciousness that manifests, sustains, and dissolves the universe. The turning point is the ancient impulse, Ekoham Bahusyam, that arose in Para Brahman or Parama Śiva. The meaning of this Sanskrit sentence is, let the one become many. When this intention shines within pure consciousness, manifestation starts happening at once. It does not happen in time or space because neither exists yet. It appears as a single, all at once surge within the Absolute. This is the first great transformation, the first cosmic expansion, the first stirring of manifestation. From this moment, the undifferentiated ultimate reality begins to express itself through icchā Śakti, willpower, jñāna Śakti, knowledge power, and kriyā Śakti, action power. The universe is a self-transformation of existence, consciousness, bliss itself. A simple example helps clarify what undifferentiation means. Milk looks uniform, yet within it lie curd, butter, ghee, cream, and water. These possibilities exist silently and undifferentiated in the milk. When a process begins, they separate and become distinct. In the same way, the Absolute holds the entire universe in a silent, unmanifested state before expression begins. The word chit is central to this understanding. Chit is consciousness. It does not mean the brain-based awareness studied in modern psychology. Modern science sees consciousness as a product of neural activity. But the Shastras say consciousness is not produced by the brain. It is the ground of existence from which matter, energy, space, and time arise. The brain only reflects it, just as a bulb glows when electricity flows through it. The bulb does not produce electricity. Today, quantum science is slowly moving toward this Shastric view. It shows that the observer affects the observed, that reality changes when measured, that particles remain connected across vast distances, and that the universe behaves like an interconnected field. These discoveries bring science closer to the Shastric understanding that consciousness is fundamental. So, when we speak of chit in Sat Chit Ananda, we mean pure consciousness, which is the undifferentiated intelligence that exists even when no mind, no brain, and no universe exist. It is not the awareness of something, it is awareness itself. It is not knowing this or that. It is the very power of knowing, the very power of cognition. This pure consciousness is the essence of Para Brahman or Parama Śiva, the silent ocean from which the manifested universe arises, and the same consciousness that later appears as icchā Śakti, jñāna Śakti, and kriyā Śakti when manifestation begins. Across both the Vedic and Śaiva traditions, the ancient sages describe reality as expressing itself in our everyday life through five fundamental aspects, each representing a different mode of the same one consciousness. At the highest level is the Absolute, called Para Brahman in Vedic tradition and Parama Śiva in Śaiva tradition. Let me repeat it because it is important to grasp it. It is the silent, uncaused, infinite reality that exists before anything else. It is like a perfectly still ocean before a single wave arises. calm, boundless, and untouched. From this absolute emerges the manifested reality known as Apara Brahman in Vedic tradition and Shiva Shakti in Shaivism. This is consciousness in action. The same still ocean now expresses itself as waves. Just as electricity becomes visible only when it lights a bulb or powers a device, this manifested reality expresses itself through the dynamic powers of will, knowledge, and action. From this manifested consciousness arise the three cosmic functions. The first is creation, represented in Vedic tradition by the term Brahma and in Shaivism by the words Sadashiva or Īśvara. It is the aspect that projects forms, patterns, and laws into existence, much like a potter shaping clay into countless vessels. The second is preservation, expressed as Vishnu in Vedic tradition and as Shakti, especially jñāna Shakti and icchā Shakti in Shaivism. This is the harmonizing force that maintains order and continuity, just as our heartbeat quietly sustains our life without our conscious effort. The third is dissolution, known as Maheshwara in Vedic tradition and Rudra or Shiva in Shaivism. It is the gentle return of all forms to their source. This is not destruction but recycling, like night dissolving the day or sleep dissolving the waking world. Although the names differ, both traditions describe the same elegant truth. One infinite reality expresses itself as the absolute, becomes manifested, and then plays out the cosmic cycle of creation, preservation, and dissolution. Everything we see, including ourselves, is simply a wave rising and falling within that one boundless ocean of consciousness. Now we arrive at the heart of today's discussion. First, Hindu Dharma recognizes only one God principle. Whether we call it Para Brahman in the Vedic tradition or Parama Śiva in the Śaiva tradition, it refers to the same one ultimate reality, the pure, undifferentiated consciousness that is eternal, changeless, and all pervading. This alone is the supreme, the absolute, the one without a second. Second, everything that exists is a self transformation of this one ultimate reality. Before manifestation, there was no second existence, no external tool, no raw substance. Therefore, the universe could only have unfolded from that reality itself. Just as a spider spins a web from its own body, a dream arises entirely from your own mind, a wave is nothing but the ocean in motion. In the same way, all forms are expressions of the ultimate one reality. Third, Parabrahman, alias Parama Śiva, simply is silent, undifferentiated, and the supreme one. It is unknowable and unapproachable. When we say that you, me, and every atom are expressions of the divine, we are not referring to the Parabrahman, alias Parama Śiva. We are referring to the expressions of the Apara Brahman, alias Shiva Shakti, the differentiated consciousness. Its expressions can take many forms and serve many functions. These functional roles are called Īśvaras, can be thought of as the children of Shiva Shakti, alias Apara Brahman. Īśvaras are many. English translations flatten these precise Sanskrit terms, such as Para Brahman, Apara Brahman, Īśvaras, into the single word God. But the Shastras maintain a flawless distinction amongst all of them. In the Shastras, an Īśvara is not the supreme absolute. An Īśvara is the personal, manifesting aspect of consciousness that governs, sustains, and guides a particular domain of the cosmos. Each Īśvara expresses a unique combination of icchā Shakti, willpower, jñāna Shakti, knowledge power, and kriyā Shakti, action power. They are divine and powerful, but they are expressions, not the source. A simple analogy helps to understand the multifaceted roles of Īśvaras. A person may be a father at home, a son to his parents, a husband to his wife, and a judge at work. They are different roles, but one individual. In the same way, the Īśvaras are distinct functional expressions of one and the same Apara Brahman, alias Shiva Śakti. They do not represent separate gods as misinterpreted in English. Īśvara are the manifold ways in which consciousness manifests its power. Deities in temples are symbolic gateways to specific principles or functional aspects of Apara Brahman or Shiva Shakti. They help the devotee connect with a particular expression of the one reality. Just as E equals mc squared condenses a profound truth into a simple symbol, a deity's form condenses a cosmic function into a relatable image. Unlike abstract formulas, these forms evoke devotion and focus in anyone, allowing every seeker to approach the same underlying truth through a symbol that speaks to the heart. The God principle, however, refers only to Para Brahman or Parama Śiva, the unmanifest, limitless absolute with no form, attributes, or functions. It is the source. The many Īśvaras are its functional expressions within creation at the next level of existence. Thus, Para Brahman or Parama Śiva is the one, the unmanifested, undifferentiated absolute. Apara Brahman or Shiva Shakti is the manifesting differentiated consciousness set ready to manifest. Figuratively, this can be thought of as parents. Īśvaras are the functional expressions giving rise to the governing layer of all existences, further down in the manifestation process. Figuratively, this can be thought of as children, and the entire creation is the grandchildren. Another analogy is to think of Para Brahman or Parama Śiva as the sun. The light of the sun can be thought of as Apara Brahman or Shiva Shakti. Īśvaras are like countless rays of the light. This clarity preserves the depth of the Śāstras and removes the confusion created by English translations. And finally, the most empowering insight. We may feel small or limited today, but our essence is the same pure consciousness that brought galaxies into being. We are not separate from the source. We are not accidental. We are not powerless. We are simply the further stepped down expressions of the same cosmic intelligence, temporarily unaware of our true nature. This is true not only for us, but for every being and every form in existence. This is why the Maha Upanishad declares Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The whole world is one family. When everything arises from one consciousness, everything is connected at its core. The entire journey of Hindu Dharma is to rediscover this truth, to realize that we are not the wave but the ocean, not the spark but the fire, not the body mind but Apara Brahman alias Shiva Shakti alias consciousness in a step down form. This is who we truly are, and this is the truth that sets us free. In the next episode, we will explore one of the most unique insights of Hindu Dharma, who we really are and what our metaphysical structure is. See you in the next episode. Namaste.